Now, smart shopping, I don't necessarily have to build a new one. It's exactly the way that standard shopping works. It's just you select smart shopping and then follow the same rules. The only thing that you don't have is you can't set your individual bids. You just add all of your products groups, and then once you click go, it looks just like this. It has one ad group. All of your products are in your one ad group, and it's separated out by product groups. So product groups here. I don't need to take another 20 minutes to kind of do that over. I think we can use probably less time to talk about optimizations. Is that okay with everyone? Anybody have any questions, or does anybody need to see a smart shopping build out? I think we should be good. Cool. All right. Now, here's some golden rules. Can you do it in hyperspeed? I can. Does everyone see it in hyperspeed?
Time you. I'm just curious.
Oh, smart shopping build out. Tamika, okay. So I'll do a quick smart shopping build out.
Tell me when to hit go.
All right, and let me just think. It's gonna give me an error, possibly, because there's already a smart shopping campaign, but it should be fairly simple to bypass. So let's go. So new campaign, sales, shopping, smart, yes. It says 2, campaign level goal. We'll focus on new customer acquisition. I'm gonna add that $10 buffer to this. We'll get to that here in a moment. Set a target return ad spend. I will not, because we're just beginning. This one is going to be at a $20 per day. Start the end date is June. Continue. All right, groups, all products, assets, building out my images, standard image. I'll use my wedding photo. Yay, that's not going to work. Okay. Recently used. No assets found. Oh no! If I was a real business, I'd have this stuff. Oh no. Okay, I can't do that one here. As soon as you essentially hit save, you go into the other one. So I can't do that here. It won't let me use my wedding photo as an image. Yeah. Anywho, dang, that stinks. I don't have any images. If I do this read again, it'd probably be only about 2 minutes. But here's what's interesting is I want to talk about the smart shopping ad though for a minute. In the smart shopping campaign, you'll notice that there's an ad. Now, this ad is blank. Very odd. You used to not be able to need an ad in smart shopping. And you can see in the last 30 days, I spent $8,000 and made 25,000 and 438 conversions. Again, and a 3.5% conversion rate. This is a good campaign. It's really, really healthy. You don't need an ad in smart shopping. Now Google says you do. It's the same exact thought as your dynamic remarketing. If I can't dynamically remarket an ad to someone, what am I going to use instead? And if you use the nice brandable ad, again, what I found is that it usually only shows up maybe like 1 to 2% of the time. It's very, 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 very small, to the point where you don't need it. I actually prefer not to have it until Google said, no, you need to have it. The reason why I preferred not to have it is I didn't want to remarket to anybody unless I knew it was going to be a dynamic ad. So now that Google says you need to have the ad, that's going to be something that you're going to have to just contend with. And we usually just follow the same dynamic remarketing ad mantra. If it's can't match a user, if it's not going to be dynamic marketing, it's not search with display selected, it's just going to be a brandable ad that's going to be remarketed to. It's going to be a lifestyle image that most represents your brand easily using the proper images and headlines. So fortunately, I can't build out a really quick smart shopping ad, but that should give you a good indicator. I know, fail on my part, and have any pictures. When you launch a smart shopping campaign, the longer you can go without enabling a ROAS goal, the better. And I really mean the longest you could possibly go. You may find that there's going to be some top products that will always be your best sellers. And those products might have a ceiling a lot higher than you could possibly imagine. I'll share with you an example, because this is one campaign that's been scaling recently pretty well. In the last 30 days of my smart shopping campaign, I'm trying to spend $1,200 a day. This one actually was only trying to spend $1,000 up till Thursday, but we just increased it. I still have a 353% ROAS. So we made 100 grand in the last 30 days from this one smart shopping campaign. And you think, man, for $1,200 a day, you should have some products that are, that are spending a lot and getting good results, but you should have enough to at least have all of your 54 SKUs showing at, 30 to 35 grand a month. That's not necessarily true. You'll see that these products here, as you get down here, you'll have, very, very little clicks, little impressions, because this one hasn't sold yet. But I still have $1,200 a day to spend. Well, that's okay. I can still spend that on 1,700 and 3,000 clicks, every 30 days. So what happens here is when you don't have a ROAS goal, you allow everything to have a chance to sell. You'll notice that when I sort by clicks, the clicks that are descending are to items that are selling the most frequently. And then as your clicks start to descend, so do your sales, until the items where these things aren't even getting more than 50 clicks or 30 clicks per month. I don't have a ROAS goal on this campaign. I'm spending $1,200 a day pure open, and so I'm getting 350 ROAS, which is okay. It's not as good as my search campaign, but I'm okay with it. I need to scale. I mean, we need to hit summer months because it's a hammock. We're going to pull back as soon as fall comes in. So I'm just saying I need to scale the sky's limit. It's very, 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 very difficult, nearly impossible to scale with a ROAS goal unless the demand is overwhelming and you have a great account. In the beginning, the longer you can run without a ROAS goal, it'll look more like this. You're going to have more products. Almost all my products, before it gets into the extraneous text, which is something that we're working on with the client, they always put free shipping in their titles. We keep asking them not to. They keep doing it anyway, and then we have to keep going through and trying to fix them on Day5 watch. That's another whole different thing. Anyway, and then these are just excluded, which is like the gift cards and then the really, really bad selling products. Anywho, all of these that are ready to sell, you can see that they still, even one of my least popular items has a sale, and that's because a ROAS goal is off. This one here, 47 clicks, one sale, great. 46 clicks, no sales. If I had a ROAS goal here, this one would stop before the next click. That would give me a 371% return on ad spend goal. As soon as you enable that smart shopping campaign, all you're doing is telling Google, okay, Google, anything above that goal, keep selling. Anything below that goal, stop selling. Well, if you have no sales, that's technically below that goal. If you have 0 sales on a product and you instill a ROAS goal, it will not sell that product unless the demand is just overwhelming. Any questions on that part so far?
Yep. Yeah, Carlos says, if a smart shopping campaign isn't spending the entire daily budget, is it usually because of the ROAS goal?
Yeah, almost always. Or I've done a few evaluations lately that the person had 900 SKUs, but 898 were disapproved. They only had 2 SKUs, and they didn't know that, and they didn't know why things weren't scaling. And I was like, hey, only 2 of your 900 SKUs are on because the rest is GTIN disapproved. So if you have a ROAS goal, this is what will happen. And I'm using this as a strategy. In the last 30 days, I'm trying to spend $400 a day. Well, let's just look at the last 7 days here. What's my time and day? I'm trying to spend $400 a day. What am I spending? 337, 271, 250, 288, 292, 328, 292. Am I spending my $400? No. I only went above $300 twice. Well, why? Well, my last 30 days, the campaign's got a 298% ROAS, just shy, 1.32% away from 300 ROAS. Well, my smart shopping campaign, what did I tell it to do? Give me 300 ROAS. It's giving me the 300% ROAS, but saying, hey, I just can't spend what you want to spend. I'll go below that goal. Again, this is a campaign that's been on for 2 years, though. So I use ROAS goal. He's happy at the spending. We spend about 10 grand a month, and he's good. So I said, get a 300 ROAS goal. I could literally take this campaign and I can set this thing to this, and I can't click save because it won't let me. But I can click save now. I still spend the exact same amount. It won't scale it dollar over what it's doing, because that ROAS goal said don't spend a dime over anything you need to get a 300% ROAS goal. If you spend a dime over that, you drop below 300% ROAS, and we did, and it stopped spending there. That's how the ROAS goal works. Almost nearly impossible to scale. Now, Christmas time's different story. If you have a product that's just awesome and you have a 400% ROAS goal and you're spending $30 a day and you're meeting that $30 a day, then you can scale. And you can scale till you just plateau, where it's like $100 a day, I'm spending it, and I'm meeting my goal. $200 a day, I'm spending it, and I'm meeting my goal. $300 a day, well, I'm now only spending 210, and I'm meeting my goal. 400, still spending 210. How about 500? Still spending 210, because you've maxed out where your ROAS goal can extract as many sales as possible. So I'm not going to hit save there because that was $500 million a day, which is just scary. But that's how the ROAS goal works. Is it will reach its ceiling and then stop there. Now, what happens if you start with a ROAS goal? You just sputter the whole time, and you never merely gain any traction and headway, and it can, but it's not going to test what it needs to do. So if you can go 2, 3, 4, 5 months without a ROAS goal, you might be possibly break even, maybe even losing a little bit of money. But what you have done is invested your money into seeing how each one of these items performs. And then what you get to do is, let me go back, because here's the cool part, is let's say we wanted to instill a ROAS goal. And I said, okay, I need everything over 300% return on ad spend. It says, okay, great. Pretty much from here on up, all of these products now will sell. Great. If I started there, I might only have these 3 products here at the top, because everything else, once it got like 2 or 3 clicks, said, no, that didn't sell. Don't give them any more clicks. It's a lot harder to scale. I don't know why I keep saying it. It's a lot harder to scale 3 products than it is 40. When you scale 40 products, you can spend $1,200 a day and you can meet that quota. So any questions about the ROAS goal and how it's used and why it's used and what it does?
Did you see Abdel's question?
Oh. Should you have 2 smart shopping campaigns, one with ROAS and second with max conversions? So you can, and that's what I was going to be talking about next, is when it's okay to split. This, does everyone remember, and I forget, I'm so sorry, I forget, when I showed how to look through e-com or the campaign ID and then compare that to your analytical data versus your Google Ads data and see what campaign's selling what products. When I did that, what I did is I looked at what Google Ads says was sold. Hey, I had 24 clicks and 1 sale. All this means I had 24 clicks and something was bought, not necessarily that one. And sometimes you'll find differences here. Here we go. $179 item, 209 clicks, 1 sale, $199. Well, that looks like it bought something else. It doesn't look like it bought the 179 because we're not charging tax or shipping in our total. So that had to be something else. Now, if there's ever a time when a click comes into a product and they purchase something else, it's still going to show the ad as a sale, even if they didn't buy that product. Now, if you go and split the smart shopping campaigns, you're going to have to choose which product goes in which campaign. If you leave them both enabled, the campaign that just happens to have better performance is going to be the one that sucks all the ad spend. You're not going to have any control over how much ad spend is going to the other campaign. So you have to separate those products. You have 10 products, 5 go in A, 5 go in B. But if the 5 that are in A, if the clicks happen here and the sales happen over here, those 2 campaigns don't talk to each other. Both performances are going to go down because dynamic remarketing is not going to work. Can't click on product A, look at product B, and have campaign A remarket product B because product B in campaign A is paused. Again, you have a click on campaign A and they view product B. Product B is not going to be remarketed to because product B in campaign A is paused. That's really important to know. So a lot of people will separate smart shopping campaigns. And do you remember when I went in here and I asked Google, hey, Google, I'd like to start a new campaign. I'd like to have a sales and shopping. It says, hey, let's see, this one's not going to give me the warning, but the other one gave me the warning and says, you already have a smart shopping campaign up and running. We recommend not running more than 1 smart shopping campaign because Google can't explain in a little small paragraph what I just mentioned, but that's what happens. You can separate them out. I'll give you a good example as how to separate, how and why and when to separate and when it's okay. This is a campaign called, we have 752 ROAS, 1200 ROAS, and 257 ROAS for an account total of 746 ROAS in the last 30 days. We have 6,000 in spend, 45,000 in conversion value, and you'll see I have low products, high number 2, and medium products. High number 2 was just because we had to create a new high campaign because when we broke it out initially, we had to just change all the products because the client says, hey, these are actually all like used out of stock, and so that we just don't want to do it. So I just started a brand new campaign because I didn't want to try to leave old products there that we didn't want to sell anymore and all the history and conversion value. I just scrapped it and started over again. So this isn't, just don't pay attention to that little nuance. It was client specific. But what happens is when you look at the medium products as an example, and you look at products, you'll see a bunch of them are excluded because these products here in the price that is really, really high, those are in the high campaign. When you look at the high campaign, now that I switched over, now you see all these impressions and clicks coming in and at a big high price. The reason why we separate these out is even when I'm only running $80 a day to this set of products, the ones that are really high in cost, you're not going to see a whole ton of impressions and clicks. I don't have a ROAS goal on this campaign. These products here just don't have a mass amount of traffic because not a lot of people are like, hey, you know, I wonder if there's a $60,000 product and just order on e-commerce. It doesn't happen that way. Now there's a lot of products that will get a lot of good impressions and clicks. It's just not the norm. But what we saw is that with all of our products in one, the products that they wanted to sell that had the high price, high ticket items weren't getting any traction because they had how many SKUs? They have 634 SKUs, and about the first 80 that sold in the low products here, you'll see this one all of a sudden it's like, man, 324 clicks and 233 and 7 sales and 1 sale, 1 sale, 1 sale, 1 sale. These little ones here, these things just have a ton of sales. And these are all at good ROAS. These are eating up all the budget. So I said, okay, well, to force spend for the products that they want to sell that's not getting any traction right now, not selling at all, separate those out into its own smart shopping campaign with its own daily budget, exclude everything else, and now the money has to be spent on those. So that was a time where I could exclude them and then get those things to get running. So if you said, hey, I have these 10 items here that just aren't selling and they're not getting any impressions, they're not getting any clicks, and no one's buying these things after they click on a different ad, then you can launch them into its own smart shopping campaign. But to the original question is, can you have two smart shopping campaigns, one with ROAS and one with max conversions? Yes, but they're going to have to be different products. If you have one that doesn't have a ROAS goal, that's going to sell. If you have the other one that does have a ROAS goal, they're not going to get any impressions and clicks if they're sharing the same product. Google goes to the path of least resistance. Can I make money today without you having to sell anything? Yeah, perfect. That Google's going to make money that day, and you're going to be the one that loses out. Any questions here so far? Oh yeah, so to recap about the ROAS goal, because that's a big thing, and we make a lot of YouTube videos, and I would say half of my questions are about scaling smart shopping and when not to use ROAS goal, or why isn't my smart shopping campaign spending any money, or why can't I break through that ceiling? It's always if you said, hey, I'm happy with the spend, I'm happy with the sales, I don't need to scale, I need this thing to run like this for a long period of time, keep your budget the same or possibly add some, and then it's still the ROAS goal, and just know that it's just going to stay there until either interest dies, you run out of stock, something new and better and stronger, faster comes out that beats yours. But if all things are equal, it'll stay there for years. But if you instill a ROAS goal and start to add money and wonder why isn't it not spending it? It's because the ROAS goal say I could spend that, but I won't be able to sell anything, so I'm going to keep it here. To trick it though, stair-step approach. I have a video called How to Scale a Smart Shopping Campaign. I do this very, very frequently. Just because it's not going to scale doesn't mean it can't scale. Just doesn't mean the Smart Shopping Campaign can't scale. It just means Google thinks it can. So we got to teach it that it can. So if you, and I'm using round numbers, if you're spending $100 a day with 100% ROAS goal, and you're spending your $100 a day, and you're getting your 100% ROAS, good. Then you say, well, I need to scale. You might set it up to $200 a day, and you keep your 100% ROAS goal on there. It's still going to spend 100. So what you have to do is you have to set it to $200 a day, then turn off the ROAS goal, and then Google they'll spend that money because now nothing's restricting it. Your ROAS will dip. Be careful of that. Your ROAS is going to dip, and it will dip for a period of time. How long? Whatever your conversion lag is normally. And I'll share that with you. Here's an interesting thing. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. If I was to scale this campaign here, it's 21 days after an impression for most of your customers to convert. So imagine if you double your budget. Do you think that 21 days is just gonna be like, oh no, everyone's just gonna buy today? Cool, everyone bought today. It won't happen. It's gonna take 21 days for those brand new people that just saw your ad to convert. So if you scale it, you're like, oh man, I had a budget, spend nothing for 2 weeks. Don't dip it back down, because then you took that money that you spent for those 2 weeks, you threw it out the window, because now it's not gonna remarket to the new audience. So when you scale, again, hold it there for a long time, and it sucks and it's painful, but it's the only way you can do it. If you take off the ROAS goal and you go up to $200 a day, the 100% ROAS you're making is probably going to go down to like 50, and you're going to be spending twice as much. So you're going to be spending twice as much you used to be before, and you're making half the amount of money that you used to be. But what happens is at that higher spend, those sales will then in 3 weeks start to happen, and your ROAS will start to go back up. And now you're at $200 a day, and you're back up to your 100% ROAS. Again, hopefully it's higher than that. I'm just using round numbers so it's easy to understand. But all of a sudden that 50 ROAS is going to go 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Now you're spending $200 a day at 100 ROAS. If you wanted to, click your return on ad spend goal back on to 100% ROAS. And now congratulations, instead of spending $100 a day and making 100 ROAS, now you're spending $200 a day and making 100 ROAS. The painful part though is people don't understand that it's human nature. Just because you spent double doesn't mean everyone's like, oh, right, I'll buy sooner. No, it still takes 21 days for them to buy, because you're now spending twice as much. You're attaching yourself to a new audience. You're introducing your brand to a new audience. When you introduce a new brand to the audience, it takes 21 days. So when you spend on day one, don't just know that it might take 3 weeks for that dollar that you spent to now finally come back. How does it come back? Comes back in conversions. Conversions equals ROAS. ROAS is going to start to come back up later on. And then you want a stair-step approach. Congratulations, now you're at $200 a day and 100 ROAS. Take the ROAS goal off. Go from 200 up to 300. Your ROAS is going to dip again. Wait 3 weeks. Well, it starts to come back up. Turn it back on. Now you're at $300 a day and 100% ROAS. That's how you scale a smart shopping campaign while not just throwing all your money out the window. Throwing your money out the window is a harsh term, but if you, or some people call investing in a campaign, you can stay at $500 a day for $10 for 10 ROAS, and eventually over months you're going to see that ROAS come up. But you can stair step your approach. It's a smart way to do it with your money. Make your ROAS in the first 2 weeks of the month, then turn off the ROAS goals, start to scale, and now what you're doing is you're reinvesting that revenue back into the campaign to get it at a higher spend. So you might break even or even lose a little bit of money at the end of the month. But if you're at 300% ROAS and you need to go down to 150, you need to stay there for maybe a month or two, just depending upon what your conversion lag is before you start to see that coming back. And that's a big thing that agencies don't get, and a lot of people don't really understand. Is like, I had a budget, I haven't made a sale today, I had a budget yesterday, is this going to blow up? You got to give it time. Same thing when you're just starting off. You have to give it time. Time is your friend in smart shopping. It's self-learning. If you spend more and then you say, oops, I'm not making the money, and you pull back, all you're taking that money is you literally now you'll never see that money again, because now you're not going after that new audience anymore. On day 13, when they're starting to get ready to buy, you stop marketing to those people. So you did you no good at all.